For the first time in the tournament's history, the Hockey World Cup has been staged for the second consecutive edition at the same venue. And it's turned out to be a super success. I'm joined by the man, perhaps I could say behind the success, Vineel Krishna, a Commissioner-cum-Secretary, the Department of Youth Affairs and Sports, Government of Odisha. Vineel, now we've just had a Football World Cup and you know how big that is. It's a tough act to follow. But looking at the way the fans have embraced this tournament, that's what makes it a success, and that's what perhaps would delight you considering India went out early, but the fans have thronged.
Absolutely. I think the reason why the hockey teams from across the world, they love playing here in Odisha is because of the fans. And earlier we used to think that we have a great crowd here in Kalinga Stadium, and it has been outperformed by the crowd in Rourkela. So I think it's a great, we keep telling that it's an ambience of football or a cricket stadium for hockey.
And also when you speak about the fans, I haven't been to Odisha, but I saw the pictures you were posting on social media. And I think you all made a conscious decision. It's not just for the hockey fan at this lovely stadium, but you've opened up areas all across the city. I was in Puri the other day. I saw on the beach there was a place where you could watch it as well. Was that a conscious decision to open up to the wider audience so that everyone feels a part of this hockey fever and not just the people who have the tickets?
Absolutely. This time the Honorable Chief Minister has taken the decision that we have to engage as many people as possible and make them experience the World Cup. So obviously with limited match days and limited capacity of the stadium, it's not possible to reach out to a large number of the crowds, and therefore we have created this not only the fan parks, which we call it as an Oli Land in Kalinga Stadium, Rourkela Stadium, and also in Puri on the beach, which has been a huge success. But also the since last 1.5 months, you would have observed that we had a trophy tour which went to each and every part of the Odisha, all districts covered and all the major destinations, and it's been a lot of response for the public. Similarly, we had district level functions, we had competitions and engagement activities in the schools, in the colleges. So this time the World Cup is something that, it's like we don't know next time when we are going to organize. We have already organized it twice, and therefore the thought process was that we should try to give that experience to as many people as possible. We had the Bhubaneswar City Festival here, Dot Fest, which has been a huge success, and it's not only about the hockey; it's about celebrating the World Cup, and therefore the cultural, the entertainment, the food festivals, and of course the hockey matches. So all of this we feel has given a great experience for the people of Odisha and for the fans who have come from across the world.
I was sitting with a couple of them. Somebody was from Bombay, somebody was from Delhi. But just on that, it just leads me on to my next question. You hosted it once and then you bid for it again. Is it about showcasing the state of Odisha, which you all call Odisha India's best kept secret, or is it about inculcating a larger sporting culture, which you talk to all the sporting greats of this country, they say India doesn't have a sporting culture. Is that also part of the wider vision?
It's definitely a combination of many factors, the ones you mentioned as well. And also the primary vision is to how to create that a health-oriented, fitness-oriented, sports-oriented society, and inspire as many people as possible towards sports in general, and particularly hockey in the current context. The reason why Chief Minister has decided to construct such a big, beautiful stadium in a city, Rourkela is a small city. In a small city like Rourkela, to conduct a World Cup is not an easy job, but the decision has been taken that we have to do it. We have to take it to the heartland of hockey, and that is Rourkela region in Odisha, so that as many hockey players as possible, they should watch the matches, they should watch their heroes play, and then get inspired and take to sports and hockey as a career.
Yeah, I was actually roaming around the stadium, limited, but I'm seeing a lot of construction on everywhere. There's a swimming pool right here in front. There's a lot of push from the government in terms of infrastructure, but you obviously will be having a long-term vision about using this and creating champions, not just for Odisha, but those who would go on and represent the country.
That's the main objective. Whether we can do the competitions or we do the these infrastructure. It is all oriented towards how we create that sports culture and inspire our kids to take up to sports and become champions and bring laurels not only for the state but also for the country.
You know, I grew up here, and back when I was in school, I used to actually come here and play tennis, and the stadium was pretty incomplete. But now, when you walk across, there's Abhinav Bindra's performance center over here. There's a shooting range right there. You've partnered with some of India's top names, top sporting talent, but you've also managed to get industry on board. A lot of people, I've been covering sport for 20 years, and it's always been the criticism that why the corporates not investing in other sports apart from cricket. So how have you managed to marry sport and industry together? Because that's an example for the rest of India.
So our Honorable Chief Minister believes in partnerships, especially for sports. He believes that unless we create those partnerships, we will not be able to create that excellence in sports and therefore achieve that great result all of us want. And because of his reputation and credibility, a lot of corporates come forward and they want to partner with the Odisha government in creating these centers of excellence, high performance centers. And it's actually many corporates want to get into sports and do a lot for sports, but then we have to create the right models. In Odisha, the model that we have created is that we invest in infrastructure where government can, and the only government can invest in such huge amounts in terms of the infrastructure, and corporates bring the soft component in terms of the flexibility in coaching programs, in terms of supporting some of the competitions and so on and so forth. So in hockey is more popular, so it gets the limelight. But we are having focus on many other sports. We can see that in athletics we are partnering with Reliance Foundation, and some great work is happening. In shooting, we are partnering with Gagan Narang and Aditya Birla Group. In swimming, a lot of good work has started happening with JSW Sports, and many more corporates are now willing to partner with us in various other sports as well. So we hope that Kalinga Stadium, Kalinga Sports Complex becomes the hub of all these great initiatives and in future create the champions that we all want.
But Vineel, are you also setting as you said, the Odisha model, but are you also setting a benchmark for other state governments? Because, I remember 2001, 2002, when I started covering sport, it was about Punjab investing heavily in sport, but then it sort of eased off. Then it was Haryana during the Commonwealth Games in 2010, but now it's Odisha. You ask anyone in India who's followed sports and said, who's supporting sport, they say Odisha. Do you think this model which you've set up can now be replicated across the country? It only needs that political will, that you need to have the government saying, the youth, you're also part of the Youth Affairs Ministry, the youth has to be engaged, and what better way to engage than in sport? Because you look at all these teams which are here from Europe, Australia, sport is a way of life over there. It's not a career. In India, we make it a career, but you start off from there and then you branch out. Some go on to the Olympics, some go on to their corporate jobs.
So every state is doing its own great work in sports. They have their own context and their own ways of contributing towards sports. In Odisha, we have adopted this particular model, and luckily we are one of the best fiscally managed states in the country. We are number one. We have been awarded for that.
Congratulations.
And therefore, we are in a position to actually fund many of these sports initiatives currently we are taking up. So I think all over the country there is a lot of appetite for investing in sports, and it cannot just be the government's responsibility. It is the responsibility of everybody to pull in together. Otherwise, every Olympic will keep having the humiliation and that devastated feeling after every Olympic that we are not performing. India, in spite of now we are the largest population and we are not even in the top 10 in the Olympics. Probably we are not even top 20. So therefore, we have a long way to go, and it's not just the responsibility of the government, the corporates, but the society at large. They have to be focused on sports, and they need to orient their own children towards sports and invest in that. Parents invest a lot in their studies, and people do spend on a lot many other things. Yes. But if they really wisely spend on the sports aspect of the children, I think in the long term, the sports, not only cricket, but all the sports can become commercially viable. And once they become commercially viable, no government or corporate support is required. They are on their own.
Yes, you just need that slight push, Vineel. Final question. Now, you've now hosted this Hockey World Cup twice. Odisha has got that international profile. Is the long-term vision, because you're creating this great infrastructure, is the long-term vision also about bidding for multidiscipline games? Because you have an Asian Games which is up for bid in 2034. The Commonwealth Games in 2030, we don't know where that's going because you only have it till 2026. There's even talks of the Olympics in 2036 because after 2032, that's the next thing. Does your government sort of look ahead and see that we are creating an infrastructure? What better way to utilize it than by having these big multidiscipline events?
So to be fair, the bidding is done by the Indian Olympic Association and the national federations, and we have great relations with most of the federations. And whenever they come to us and ask for the venues for national or international championship, we always support them. So if an opportunity comes up and our infrastructure is suitable for it, then why not?
Okay, on that note, Vineel, thank you so much for your time and many congratulations for pulling off a great World Cup and also for what you all are doing for sport.
Thanks so much.